When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hey guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want to get to any of my early content, check out the Discord. This is The Change of Fate, Part 2, the Necromancer Tower. Now, before we start, I don't know how many parts will be for this. This is basically the first dungeon, so it's going to be multiple parts. So it might be 2, might be 3. I'm not totally sure. It's how I structure the story moving forward. But anyways, let's start this thing already. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. As soon as Yuri entered the first room, or the room, on the ground level of the Necromancer Tower, she immediately spotted the skeleton warrior wearing ancient armor with a large sword and a shield. Behind the skeleton warrior is a wooden chest. And what's on the walls of the entire room, all the way around, is some sort of banner with a symbol Yuri's not familiar with, which there's a torch between several banners. Between the two banners, they're spread out, giving the light more room, or the room more light. Yuri had no time to check the door behind her. Just by the sound alone, she could tell the door is clearly locked, as the sound of a magical barrier covers the only exit out of the room. As the skeleton warrior's eyes begin to light up red, Yuri kept her eye on the skeleton while going into her inventory, taking out some of the new items that she got from passing the last test, or task. She immediately saw she had a couple mana potions, so she took one out and drank it immediately, as her mana pool is beginning to recover. The last item she took out of her inventory was a magical scroll. System, what type of magical scroll is this? As new information showed up on a digital dashboard, when you open the scroll, you will randomly be gifted a passive ability or a passive talent. After reading the information about it, great, knowing my luck, it was probably not going to be anything useful. As she slowly opened up the magical scroll, it immediately begins to decay in her hands. As a notification appeared, new a passive skill required. Breakdown. Breakdown will always remain active. Once upon eyesight, all stats and levels and race and other useful information will be able to be seen. Once the passive skill breakdown activated, all the status of the skeleton warrior in front of her. To her surprise, the skeleton warrior that she thought was a skeleton warrior was a skeleton guardian of the Necromancer Tower. Interesting. I'm going to have to trigger this fight. So far, the skeleton guardian has been staying pretty idle. Naturally, the skeleton guardian is beyond my level. And my bad luck, it's a level 3. That's just great. And with that magical barrier blocking off the only exit, I gotta fight. Fuck it. The moment Yuri walked further into the room, with her rusted sword in her hand approaching the skeleton guardian, the skeleton guardian immediately begins to approach Yuri with the large sword and shield ready for battle. The moment the skeleton warrior was close enough to attack, he swung his large sword as Yuri ducked under the large sword swing and countered attack with a upward slash, only for the skeleton guardian to block the sword slash with its shield. Yuri immediately hopped backwards and slid and immediately cast Fireball, only for the skeleton guardian to slap it out of the way with its shield. Immediately after noticing her Fireball failed to make any serious damage, she immediately used her sword slash skill. The skeleton guardian managed to raise its shield just in time, as there was a large cut slash on the metal shield. Yuri let out a growl, frustrated, and charged forward. She immediately went into a feint and slashed to the left with her sword, only for the skeleton guardian to block the attack. The skeleton guardian immediately performed a sword slam. A shield bash. Seeing the shield heading directly towards her way, Yuri backed off. But that's when the skeleton guardian activated his shield dash skill, making a direct hit on Yuri, sending Yuri skidding across the ground. Yuri split out blood from her mouth. Yuri noticed a good chunk of her HP was gone. This is so fucking irritating. I can't do anything with that bastard has that shield. Every time I try to use a fireball, that bastard will use that shield to absorb the spell. I'm not certain if I am actually making any damage. She looked at her stats board while the skeleton guardian hasn't made any further moves. Can I use it to defeat that damn thing? The sword I've been using does cause some damage, but that damn shield, I need to get rid of that. Using Fireball would be pointless at this current time, while that damn skeleton has that blasted shield. Wait, I totally forgot about this. As she stares down her skill list, as she sees Gaster Blaster. I haven't tested that skill out yet. It's not battle tested. I'm not sure how effective this skill is going to be. Yuri doesn't like doing this, but she's gonna take a leap of faith as she put her rusted sword back into her inventory. As she begins to hop up and down while getting all the kinks out of her body. as she cracked her neck to the side on both sides. Yuri immediately bolted forward. The moment she got in striking range, Skeleton Guardian swung its sword at Yuri. Yuri ducked underneath its sword swing and performed a handstand kick, slamming several kicks into the skeleton armor in the stomach, making the skeleton go sliding backwards. Before the Skeleton Guardian could hit the wall, it dug his sword into the ground, stopping his momentum. "You didn't like that, didn't you, you pile of bones?" Yuri immediately used her speed dash skill. The moment Yuri got into range from the skeleton, she immediately went into a spin kick. The Skeleton Guardian, sensing the immediate danger, immediately rolled out of the way. As Yuri's spin kick hit nothing but air, as a wind pressure was created, sending the skeleton back even further. As Yuri slowly lowered her leg from the air to the ground. It's more like it. She tilted her head to the skeleton with a vicious grin. Or like it. You skeletons can feel fear, can you? She saw the Skeleton Guardian back up a few steps. "I should have done this from the start. I've wasted enough time in this fight." Yuri rushed again instantly, out throwing a kick. Skeleton Guardian couldn't react fast enough as she landed a vicious kick in the stomach, then slammed a fist into the skeleton's chest, benting the armor, as you can see cracks in the armor, as the skeleton was sent flying backwards into the wall. The wall behind the skeleton begins to crack from the force of the impact. The skeleton struggled to get on his feet as Yuri unleashed another devastating attack by slamming her palm into the chest of the skeleton, shattering its ancient armor. Suddenly, the Skeleton Guardian unleashed a burst of dark energy. The Skeleton Guardians has entered the second stage. Once a boss or a mini-boss loses a certain amount of health, it goes through a second phase. The boss in question, or mini-boss, movements will change, attack patterns will change. It'll move a whole lot faster and a whole lot stronger, as several health bars could be seen over the skeleton. Are you fucking serious? Damn that bastard, I finally got his health halfway. Now there's 3 extra health bars. As the Skeleton Guardian rushed forward with pure fury and began to swing wildly with increasing speed, forcing Yuri to go on the defensive and begin to dodge and weave around the large sword. Then, suddenly, Yuri was hit full force with a shield bash. Yuri slowly backed off as she watches the skeleton warrior casually throw the shield to the side and dug into the side of the wall. That's when the attack patterns really change, as the Skeleton Guardian completely changed, becoming more aggressive. Yuri finally found a slight opening and landed a solid strike across the skeleton's face, then unleashed a fireball that immediately hit the Skeleton Guardian, causing some decent damage. Yuri, at this point, These type of enemies, monsters, have 3 different type of weakness: fire, physical damage, and holy spells. Considering she could check off 2 of those things on her list, but she doesn't have any access to any sort of holy magic. Only spell in her arsenal is her fireball. And other options she has is using her physical strength. That's what she's been doing. Yuri had no desire to allow the undead skeleton to recover, as she speed dashed forward towards the idle skeleton guardian. Yuri cocked her hand backwards, ready for a punch, as she threw out a very powerful punch. Before Yuri's fist could make contact with the skeleton guardian, the skeleton unleashed a terrifying scream, creating a strong wind pressure that sent Yuri skidding backwards. The skeleton guardian raised its large sword, directly towards Yuri, as a magical circle appeared above the tip of the blade, as the skeleton guardian used a spell, Necroblast. Yuri could sense the large buildup of magic into the magic circle on the tip of the sword. Yuri immediately rushed towards the shield that stuck into the wall and yanked it out of the wall. Immediately got in her original position and equipped the shield. The skeleton warrior grinned at Yuri. Then it finally unleashed his magical spell, as a large amount of corrupted magical energy shot forward in a beam towards Yuri. Yuri braced herself, with the only option of defending herself using this shield. The power of the magical spell took Yuri off guard, as she struggled to keep her position, as the spell was slowly pushing her back. She was correct in her instinct grabbing onto the shield. It has a very impressive magical resistance. The shield might have strong resistance against magic, but the shield is still resistant to magic. The shield is slowly turning red from the heat of the magical spell. She has no choice. She has to activate it, and she activated Gaster Blaster skill. Because of the Gaster Blaster skill that feeds off of Yuri's mana pool directly, she put a little too much magical energy when she activated it. Once the skill was activated, the skill was finally activated. There was a humongous skull floating in the air. Looked more animal-like than human. Yuri immediately noticed the larger mana drain on her mana pool, as the floating animal skull opened his mouth, and it begins to charge up a magical power in his mouth, as the purple energy continues to charge up, like it's ready to blast or fire. Immediately notice a large of her magic is being drained, as a Gaster Blaster opened fire, completely engulfing the Guardian skeleton and erupting and interfering in his attack, giving Yuri some time to prepare, as she's breathing heavy, as a large amount of her mana was drained. She only has about 10% of her mana left. Yuri immediately took out another magical potion, or mana potion, immediately drank it to recover some of her lost MP. Just fortunate that the reward that she got for making it to the Necromancer Tower was several magical potions, a magical scroll, when she arrived at the Necromancer Tower. But Yuri did not let her guard down, not even once. Her magic pool was slowly recovering. It only took her 2 potions to recover completely. She also took a small health potion. She has several health potions from the last task reward. Alongside was her mana potions. When the smoke cleared, Yuri could see the skeleton guardian is heavily damaged. The skull is cracking. As you can see, fractures all along the bone structure of the skeleton is signs of beginning to crack. Yuri narrowed her eyes, seeing the bone of the skeleton slowly repairing itself. Oh, no you don't. She gave the mental command for the Gaster Blaster to blast again, this time with much less power, to keep her mana drain manageable. Watches her handiwork. Incredible. That skill is quite powerful. Completely follows my commands by a mere thought. This will definitely come in handy. After a few more blasts, the skeleton finally was defeated as the skeleton guardian began to crumble away. As a notification popped up, congratulations, hero candidate, you have moved from level 0 to level 1. You have acquired 5 skill points in a new spell called Ice Palm. She decided to spend any of her skill points on her skills or spells. She walked towards the chest and kicked it open. As she took a look inside, she found several health and mana potions alongside with an ancient sword. Yuri immediately used the breakdown passive skill. As she instantly get the sword stats immediately without having to put in her inventory to find out. This is going to be definitely useful. This ancient sword definitely has better stats than that rusted sword. As she tossed the rusted sword to the side and equipped the ancient sword, Yuri begins to walk towards the door as she stepped on something before she get out of the room. As she stepped on the ashes of the skeleton warrior, as she saw a black skeleton key, Yuri immediately used her breakdown skill. She couldn't get any useful information outside of it's a dungeon item. As she put the black skeleton key in her inventory, as a magical barrier begins blocking the door, begins to break down and shatter. As the door unlocked itself as it opened up by itself, giving Yuri a way to leave. Yuri immediately exited the room. The next room she entered was a small, but there was no monsters inside. It was just an empty room. Status, as when she announced that in her mind, the digital dashboard popped up. As Yuri begins to look through her skills to see any increasements in her stats, she just leveled up. So she noticed her natural stats has increased. Immediately went to look through her skills. She noticed it will take 2 skill points to take any of these skills to level 1. So Yuri could only upgrade 2 skills, and leaving 1 skill point remaining. She could either hold on to the last one or put it into one of her other skills that hasn't been leveled up. The first skill she upgraded was her Fireball. Once the Fireball spell consumed 2 of the skill points, The 0-1 fireball turned into a level 1 fireball, making it far more powerful, and it takes less time to cast. Not by much, but it's still an improvement. I could always use a fully upgrade my speed dash to level 1. But I got this ice palm. But I haven't tested it out yet. And there's the Gaster Blaster skill. That's definitely going to be my trump card. I'm definitely going to upgrade that to level 1. She immediately upgraded the Gaster Blaster to level 0, to level 1, to level 1. Yuri noticed the mana drain lessen from the skill, from the level up. Yuri finally decided to use the singular skill in her passive ability, Breakdown. Not enough to level it up, but it'll just take one more to level it up, so it's not that big of a problem. She also noticed some of her stats increased, like her strength, speed, and wisdom. Yuri noticed her magical pool and health has increased slightly. Yuri's still trying to get used to having a health bar that she could see. She knows by now this world is a combination between a real life video game, fantasy world, and a fantasy setting basically, and a real world. Yuri shut the status dashboard and left the room, and proceed to continue to conquer the Necromancer Tower. She'll definitely need to find some good source of food. She might have some of that rabbit meat left, but not much. At least she has 9 days to complete this tower. She would rather not think of what would happen if she failed, the penalty. If she doesn't pass the tower in a designated time for this task. It's more like a quest, but anyways. After searching a few rooms, she found a couple crates with apples and bread. She immediately put them in her inventory. When she turned around the corner to the hallway, she was immediately assaulted by level 1 skeleton warriors. Yuri used this chance to activate her ice palm. As she struck her free palm, the moment her palm made contact with the skeleton immediately froze solid. Yuri did not hesitate and kicked the frozen skeleton that shattered into ice shards. Now that's more like it. As she immediately put her sword back in her inventory, this ice spell will definitely be effective enough for the small fry. Yuri heard footsteps straight ahead of her as Yuri get into a fighting stance, as several level 1 zombies and skeletons come walking into the light. As with the torches on the wall illuminating the hallway, they begin to charge forward. Holy shit, zombies? Well, it's a Necromancer Tower, for a reason, so I shouldn't be surprised. Despite the shock of zombies, Yuri had her game face on. She was not fazed by real-life zombies charging at her. She immediately activated her fire spell and shot it forward. Yuri noticed the speed of the fireball and the power of it was heavily increased. Well, basically slightly increased. At the moment it made contact, there was a slight explosion, killing all the zombies that made contact or near the fireball. Yuri immediately begins to fire off more fireballs at all of the skeletons and zombies that came across her as she begins to explore the ground level of the tower. But she did notice all of the skills and spells that she leveled up to level 1, acquire more skill points to upgrade further. So it's going to take more skill points to upgrade any of the level 1s skill or spells to level 2. So Yuri suspects the higher level her skills get, the more skill points is required to level up further. Despite that, 5 skill points was plenty to work with at the start, so she wasn't too worried about it. There's plenty to work with to level up her spell and skills. She also noticed her class or whatever has a high magic potential. I know she's been focused on magic a little more, but she'll eventually focus on her melee skills as well, but for now, that's where her strength lies right now. After clearing out several hallways of the ground level of the Necromancer Tower, Yuri decided to check out a few more rooms. She hasn't came across the stairs yet. This place is huge, so it's understandable she hasn't found the stairs yet, or the way to the next level of the tower. While walking down the long hallway, she came across 2 large metal doors. Yuri decided to push the door open, revealed a very large room that looked like a graveyard filled with gravestones, and a medium-sized chapel in the middle of the room. Yuri looked up to see an artificial sky. Holy crap, that's some serious magic. As Yuri could instantly sense whatever magic that was used to create this artificial sky, it was clearly powerful and advanced. It has its own moon and everything. The moment she started to walk forward, she didn't even get past the first gravestone as a zombie and skeleton crawl out of the ground. Yuri immediately got ready for another battle. The first skeleton came rushing towards her, swinging its large 2-handed battle axe. Yuri rolled out of the way, dodging the battle axe, as Yuri had to jump backwards to dodge a skeleton wielding a spear. Yuri decided to take out the zombie first. It was only a level 1 zombie, so a simple cast of a couple fireballs easily took care of them, leaving Yuri to deal with the skeletons. They're far more dangerous than the zombies. In small numbers, at least. If the number of zombies were a larger amount, that would be a different story. Yuri slid underneath a spear thrust. Then she jumped up in the middle of the air and landed a solid kick across the skeleton, wielding a spear, killing it instantly. Yuri leaned to the right to dodge an incoming axe slash. Yuri was out looking at the skeleton. She rapidly blasted him with fireballs, killing the skeleton and gaining more experience. Yuri decided to go towards the chapel. Fortunately, on her way to the chapel, she triggered more battles with skeletons and zombies, came bursting out of the ground. They were easily dealt with, using physical damage and fire damage by using her fireball. She easily took care of each zombie and skeleton, not giving them enough time to gather numbers. She stood in front of the chapel gate, but instead of going inside, Yuri decided to farm for more experience with the skeleton and zombies. She purposely used a speed dash past several gravestones to trigger more zombies and skeleton fights. It didn't take her long to acquire the necessary experience points to gain a new level. As soon as she killed the last skeleton that she triggered, Yuri noticed another notice appeared. Congratulations, hero candidate. You have reached level 2. You have acquired 2 skill points. You gotta be fucking kidding me. 2 skill points. The first time I leveled up, I had at least 5. Annoying battle system. Screw it. As she applied the 2 skill points to the necessary spots, but one of the skill points immediately was used for breakdown, leveling breakdown to level 1, and the remaining skill point she placed was in her speed dash, considering she used that skill quite often in battle. Mary made her way back to the gate of the chapel. It's a large black gate that surrounds the entire chapel. As she took the key out of her inventory and placed it in the lock. The moment she turned the key, she heard the mechanism of the gears turning, unlocking the large black gate. So this key is not just a one-time use. As she noticed, she still has the key. I better put this back in my inventory. I might need it later. When the black skeleton key was placed back in her inventory, she walked through the opening into the boundaries of the chapel and began to walk onto the sidewalk leading to the chapel itself. The moment Yuri got close to the chapel door, the large chapel doors explode outwards towards Yuri, as Yuri barely managed to dodge a large sword swing from a sword. Yuri Breakdown immediately got the information about the monster, living armor, level 4, floor boss. Great, another enemy that's way above my level. Yuri took a look at the health bar of the floor boss as she sees 5 different health bars. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I swear this place is trying to kill me. That's where we're gonna stop it. I'll catch you guys in the next part.